Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over the Kuat NV 2.0 bike rack here on a 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. So for starters, there's a couple different configurations here for this rack. We have two different color options, gunmetal and we have metallic. This is the gunmetal here. And within those two different color options, we also have two different bike configurations, whether it be the 2 bike or the 4 bike. So there's two main styles of bike racks. We have the platform style, which is what we see here, and we also have the hanging style. Now, the hanging style are great options because they're usually pretty cost effective and they're lighter, so they're easier to get on and off your vehicle. But some of the drawbacks of a hanging style bike rack is they usually can't accommodate very heavy bikes and they're a little bit harder to load your bikes onto. So the platform racks, that's where these things shine. It's very easy to get your bikes onto because we don't have to lift near as much, and they'll also accommodate much heavier bikes. So within that platform style, there's another two types of classifications in regards to how the bikes are secured to the rack, and that's wheel mount and frame mount. So wheel mount is what we have here. They're typically a little bit easier to use than the frame mount. The frame mount aren't going to be a great option if you have a carbon fiber bike frame. So I typically prefer the wheel mount. This is usually best, but there is one thing that they won't work with, and that's if you have a bike with fenders. If you have a bike with fenders, you'll have to go with that frame mount style, but for anything else, this wheel mount here is going to be great. You guys are going to love it because it's very easy to use. So speaking more on that ease of use, when we've arrived at the trails, we're ready to take our bike off. This is very simple. First thing we want to do, and this is kind of important, we want to grab the top tube of our bike here and keep a firm hold on that. Because what we're going to be doing next is, we're going to be coming down here and we're going to be removing that little ratchet thing from our wheel. And then we're going to take our other hand here, we're going to release the lock here, and then we're just going to slide this down. So the reason it's important that we keep a good hold on your bike the entire time is because once we remove those two mechanisms, it could easily fall either way or into the vehicle and cause damage, which we don't want. So just make sure you have a good hold on it at all times. But now we can just lift up and off. So once we have the bike off the rack, it's a good idea to just go ahead and take a closer look at the cradles. So I really like these cradles because number one, they have this little narrow cutout here that's really going to hold the road bike tires nice and secure. But we also have a much larger portion that's going to accommodate some of those fat tire bikes. So one common question we get asked a lot here at eTrailer is how much length are they adding to their vehicle with this rack installed and the platform down. So if we just measure from the back hatch there where the license plate is, the outermost point you're looking at about 37 inches. So let's say you guys park in a garage at your house and this adds a little bit too much for you to be able to fit in there. Well, luckily we can actually fold the platform up against the vehicle there for a much more compact design. Now, a lot of people actually just leave the rack on the vehicle even when they don't have their bikes on there because again, they can just fold it up for a nice, simple, compact storage, and then when they are ready to use it, it's much easier. They don't have to worry about removing the entire rack from the vehicle. So we are going to have a little release lever here. If we just simply pull that, our rack will just easily fold up nice and close to the vehicle. And just to give you guys another measurement here, you can see how much we've cut down from the overall length of the rack. So to the outside point here, which is the furthest point away, you're looking at about 21 inches. So we've substantially cut down on the overall length of our rack. So one potential issue with this, say we need to get something out of the hatch of our vehicle here. Well, thankfully, we can actually tilt this rack away from the vehicle, whether we have our bike on or not. So we're going to be using the same little lever here that we showed you. And you can see the rack just tilts down. We don't have to worry about stopping it. It has a built-in stop on its own there. And again, we can do this with the bike on or with the bike off. We can easily get things in and out of the hatch as we need. As you can see here, there's plenty of room to step in here and get anything out we may or may not need. And then when we're done, we can simply close the hatch. And then we can lift the rack back up into the in-use position, or we could fold it up one more step here for the storage position. So this is a premium rack, therefore we're going to get premium features with this rack. One of the features that's really a must when you purchase a nice rack like this or you have some really nice bikes, and that's locks. So with this particular rack here, we not only have cable locks which allow you to secure the bikes to the rack, we also have a lock which secures the rack to the vehicle, and they both use the same key. And then something else cool that Kuat does is they actually have a built-in repair stand in the racks, which you'll use when the rack is folded up towards the vehicle. You can see now, this part here, we can easily just swing that up and we can actually adjust the height up and down. So this is going to give us a nice sturdy surface that we can work on our bikes. A lot of you mountain bikers have frequent breakdowns, so it's very easy just to take your bike back here to the vehicle, open up this little clamping mechanism, drop your frame in there, push it tight, and then lock it in place. And now you can make the repairs needed to your bike so you can get back on the trails. So if we look at the end of the rack here, the end of the shank at the very bottom, you're going to notice this hand knob. Now what this hand knob does is, this is actually a tightening mechanism that helps secure the shank of the rack inside the receiver tube of the vehicle. And this extra security is going to make for a nice and tight fit. Therefore, our bikes aren't going to be bouncing around on the rack as much. So if I go ahead and just give the shank a good shake, you can see I'm shaking the entire vehicle. There isn't any movement inside the receiver tube. What I also like about this is, a lot of the other racks have this same sort of anti-rattle feature, but they require a separate set of tools to be able to tighten that. This here simply uses this hand knob, so we don't need any tools required. So in summary, you really can't go wrong with the NV 2.0. This is a premium bike rack and probably one of the best options on the market. We get all those premium features, and what I see a lot of people look for in the Kuat brand is they actually just look really nice on the vehicle. I mean, you could see the paint on this thing. It's very nicely done. It's almost like the paint on the vehicle. So this is something that you guys are going to be proud to display on your vehicle.
This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then, onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement. Last of all, the solid speed bumps. This shows up and down action, such as driving through a parking lot or parking garage, or driving in and out of a driveway.
And that's going to do it for our look at the Kuat NV 2.0 bike rack here on our 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L.